there, welcome to Craftwerk. I'm Ruthie and today I'm back with another video. This time we're going to be talking about Sewjo. So your sewing mojo, your desire to sew, your want to sew, your need to sew, your creative energy basically, without getting too new age about it. Basically, I've got a bit of a confession to make. I completely lost my desire to sew this month. In fact, pretty much since Christmas, I have not wanted to sew. So for Christmas, I always go back to visit my family and my partner's families. They are both in Somerset. So we leave London and travel to Somerset. And this time was one of the only years where I didn't take my sewing machine with me. And we only went for about a week, so I figured it would be fine, and also I really wanted not to have any more like Christmas presents to have to make whilst I was at home. And so I was really pleased I got everything done beforehand, so it was a bit of a tighter schedule than I usually have, but I managed to do it, and I managed to do it without too much stress. I got it done, and then I was able to leave my machines here and have a week away. Then when I got back, I didn't really want to sew. I just wasn't into it and I wasn't feeling it. And then that has continued throughout January, and every time I have sewed, I just haven't felt like as inspired by sewing and by creating and by dressmaking as much as I normally do. And that felt pretty scary to start with, because sewing is usually my sanctuary and it's the place where I get to relax, or the place where I get to challenge myself and basically not think about anything else. So the idea that I wasn't even wanting to do that made me really worry about the state of my mental health, or whether I was ever going to feel the same way about sewing again. And the funny thing is, this isn't the first time I've been here. I've been here so many times. Actually, I think I'm here every single January. So when I posted about this on Instagram and I spoke about it a little bit in my last video, it seems like it's not just me. So have you been feeling a little bit of a lack of Sewjo recently? If so, I thought what I would do, because hallelujah, it is definitely on the return. I'm starting to feel inspired again, starting to feel excited again, and I'm starting to enjoy the process again. So I thought I would share some practical tips of how you could get your Sewjo back if you're in the same position that I was in about 2 weeks ago. Obviously, everyone is totally different, and that's why some of these tips may seem like they're kind of contradicting each other, and it's definitely a bit of a trial and error process, but I'm hoping one or two of them will help some people to like return to the hobby that they love. Or maybe you're feeling a bit daunted about like starting to begin with, and some of these tips will help you to step straight into the creative process of dressmaking and sewing. So the first thing I recommend doing is tidying your space. This behind me is about as tidy as my space gets. I know it doesn't look particularly tidy, but I have quite a small space. We have a one-bed flat in London, so I'm very lucky to have a space at all. But tidying your space, maybe organising your space as well, it can just really help to sort of create a positive and open atmosphere for you to start creating in. I actually find that I might struggle to sew something if I've got loads of cleaning in the house to do or loads of other things to do. And sometimes I use it to procrastinate from the other things that I have to do, including cleaning. But when I'm not feeling it, then definitely cleaning the entire flat and creating an open, clean, airy space helps me to sort of get in the mood and prepare myself for creating. Related to that, the next tip is to organise your sewing supplies. Like I said, if you organise your sewing space or your flat or whatever, then it's going to be easier to create because you're not looking for things all the time. Organising your supplies, organising your fabric, that's another really good one because it can help you to see what you've got and take stock and get inspired by those fabrics and be inspired by them again. So definitely organising stuff, but also organising patterns. Again, going through your patterns, seeing one that maybe you haven't made for ages and you really enjoyed making might just help to like kickstart you into like feeling like you want to sew again. My next tip, I've been doing loads because I've been reading that book, Curated Closet, as you know, and it has little tasks throughout. From that, I've been obviously looking at a lot of images online, so on Pinterest, just on the internet, on Instagram, across like blogs and vlogs and all sorts. Going down a bit of a rabbit hole within those things can help you to just make you feel like you want to create something similar. It doesn't even have to be that. Sometimes just obviously images of things, whether it's art or movies or whatever, something that inspires you, and equally obviously listening to music and watching videos like mine could help. Okay, now getting down to sewing. Sometimes it's just about doing it. And you might not feel like doing it. I mean, generally I say only do it when you feel like doing it because it's a hobby and it should be enjoyable, not something you force upon yourself. But if you're not feeling particularly into it, but you just know you kind of want to create something, or you feel like it might make you feel better if you do create something, then doing something simple, a small project can really help. So last week I showed you a top that I created that was really small and just out of some fabric that I had, and it was kind of an experiment, and I knew it might not take very long. So something like that, or obviously going back to a pattern that you know will work and you know you're going to create something, getting that like instant gratification of sewing something and having something that you've made finished, because sometimes it's just about fear and fear of failure. So reminding yourself that you can do it by doing something you know you can do can be super useful. I made loads of drop shoulder jumpers, the tutorial for which I'll link above, but I made loads of those because I knew they were really quick to sew up, I knew they were comfy, I knew they would be useful in my wardrobe, and I knew that they would work. So even when I wasn't really feeling like creating, just having something that I'd finished and feeling like I'd been productive was so helpful towards like helping me feel inspired by sewing again. And in contrast to that, the other thing that I always think is really good to help get you back into the spirit of creating is actually to start tackling that massive project that you have been putting off but you've been wanting to do for a while. Okay, don't overwhelm yourself, don't turn it into like something crazy daunting, but like having something that you go through very slowly and don't have too much time pressure on can definitely help to feel like, it will just give you that ultimate sewing satisfaction. So I highly recommend going to that project. Again, going back to that top that I made last week, that was a challenge as well, because it was like, I don't want to do another thing where I'm copying clothes again. I don't feel inspired by that right now. But maybe if I do it in a different way and I force myself to, do it just from my measurements, then it feels like something different and it feels like a bit of a challenge. So at least challenging yourself a little bit. It doesn't have to be a massive project like a coat or something. It could be that you finally start like making a bra. It could be that you finally make that bodice block that you've been meaning to make for ages. Whatever it is, just challenging yourself and taking yourself out of your comfort zone can help you to feel a bit more excited about the craft again. Now, if you're not ready to get sewing again just yet, my next idea is to get planning. So I use a bullet journal, many people do, or there's loads of sewing planners that people are talking about that you can go into, or you can just make some brainstorms about some makes that you want to do. I know also some people have been doing the 2018 Make 9 challenge. I've talked a bit about why I'm not doing that, and I did a 2017 Make 9 and I think I made 3 things and I hated 2 of them. So yeah, wasn't very successful, but I know it can be useful for a lot of people, and just to kind of, especially if you do it without any pressure. And I think that's why it was okay that I did the 2017 Make 9, because I don't know if I actually really had the plan to make those things necessarily, which sounds awful. I just lied basically on my blog. But what I was saying with it was like, I like these things and right now I fancy making them, and that kind of got me into the swing of thinking about makes as well, and what's missing in my wardrobe and what I wanted to add to my wardrobe basically. So definitely like making some plans when you're not ready to sew, but just like pinning some things, saving some patterns, maybe even ordering some patterns and some fabric and stuff, can help you to sort of like feel excited about things that you could make in the future. And on those same lines, definitely a surefire way to get your Sewjo back, if you can afford it, is to get some fabric. Just go out there, go fabric shopping, go online. When you have it in your hands, you will feel all sorts of excited and you'll start to get ideas of things you can make again. I definitely highly recommend that. The other thing, of course, is to go to shops. If you go to like charity shops, you could find things that you could alter or that you could wear, or even just going to the high street and trying on some different styles could be useful or could be traumatic. So just taking yourself away from the actual sewing and just sort of giving yourself some time to think and plan and accept that actually that can be useful as well is a very healthy thing to do, I think, when you're not feeling like sewing. And my final tip is, I've done this, as you saw, because I've been sharing videos about it, is to clear out your wardrobe. Get some space, I think. Like, it's a bit like just cleaning and organising everything, clearing out your wardrobe of things that you no longer wear, whether it's handmade or ready to wear stuff. It just opens up space in your wardrobe so that when you do get back to creating, you have somewhere to put it. But it also, I think, opens up space in your mind and gives you an opportunity to look through what you've got, find the gaps, see what you have enjoyed wearing, really think about how long it's been since you wore that item and how many times you wear it. What is your favourite thing to wear? What is your favourite outfit to wear? My favourite things are jumpers and shirts and jeans. And realising that is so useful towards like starting to think about what I want to make. So yeah, as I said, I jumped into making loads of drop shoulder jumpers because I knew that would be very quick. But I've also, now I'm getting my Sewjo back, I've been making loads of shirts like the one I'm wearing, the one behind me. I'm going to be doing a video on shirts very soon. That's kind of the biggest thing that I did towards getting my Sewjo back, definitely, was clearing out my wardrobe and delving into thinking about my personal style and giving myself that time and that space to think about those things. Because my main big tip for this is to accept it and embrace it. Embrace your lack of Sewjo, because the last thing you want to do is force yourself to to do something that is supposed to be a hobby, that's supposed to be a craft. And yeah, if you really aren't feeling it at the moment, don't worry, you can try some of those things. You can just spectate and see what other people are making. But also remember that everyone goes through this. Like, it can be easy to go on Instagram and go on YouTube and see loads of people making loads of things and think, oh, how come they feel the inspiration to sew and right now I don't? But I know some people are struggling a little bit and just wondering, and I know it can happen at any time of year as well, so maybe you'll come back to this video when you're feeling a little bit of a lack of creativity. And my main aim for this is just to sort of be honest, as I always try to be, and yeah, share my experiences. And I know it can feel like a mammoth task to sort of get through and find that creativity, but hopefully some of these tips will help at least, or give you a kind of insight into like what my process in the last month has been when I've not been sewing that much. Although, to be fair, I realised I have actually sewed quite a lot, but it just hasn't felt as I just haven't felt like the desire as much as normal, and maybe that's perfectly reasonable. Maybe it's just that I'm back to a sort of normal level of sewing activity, whereas before Christmas it just was a little bit mad. I don't know, but either way, this is where I'm at. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Let me know in the comments below if you are feeling a lack of Sewjo, or maybe you've been on a real like creative train, and please do share that as well. Or if you've ever experienced like a lack of creative energy, hopefully you've been able to follow my train of thought and hopefully got something out of it. Oh, and by the way, if you don't follow me on Instagram, please do. I'm showing like loads of makes, but also lots of like behind the scenes, particularly on the Instagram stories. So yeah, that's it from me. If you haven't already subscribed, please do so, because I am putting out a video every Sunday. So it'd be lovely to see you again next week. Have a great week. Bye.